Welcome to the last in a series of 4 videos on using Desktop EndNote from the University of Reading Library. In this video we'll be covering inserting citations and references in Word documents, changing the style of those references and adjusting the format of the in-text citation. We'll also cover citing directly from a PDF and converting a Word document to plain text so you can make final adjustments to your references. Once EndNote is installed on your computer, you will get an additional toolbar in Word. It'll be labelled EndNote 2025. This gives you options to enable you to insert citations in the text, and there are 2 main ways of doing this. Firstly, just put your cursor in the correct place where you want to insert your citation. You can then use this search button at the top left of the toolbar to find the reference that you want to insert. Normally you'll know the author's surname. So I want to insert the reference by Wang, so I highlight that one and click Insert. If there's more than one reference you want to insert, you can select multiple ones. So if we click Insert, that will put the citation in the text and it will start to create the reference list at the end. The style that it's using is controlled by what's selected here. And there is a quick list. If you're using EndNote using the Apps Anywhere service, you will see this customized list of styles. And the default one that will be selected is the Harvard to Reading style, and that's used by many departments in the university, but check which style your department is using. So make sure you've got the correct style selected and it will create the correct in-text citation and create the references in the correct style and order. The other way to insert a reference is once again make sure that you're in the correct place in your document where you want to insert it. But this time you'll need to switch back to your EndNote library and find the reference that you want to insert. So I want to insert this reference by Terremoto, and I can simply highlight that in my EndNote library and click on the citation button, which looks like double quotes. And that will do exactly the same thing. It will insert the citation in the text and add the reference to the list at the end of your document. One of the advantages of using EndNote is that it's very easy to switch between styles. And you can do this through the style pick list at the top here. So for instance, if you needed to use the Vancouver style for one of your assignments, you can simply select it here and it will change the in-text citations to numbers and it will change the order of the references at the end automatically. One thing just to bear in mind is that sometimes bits of information need to be held in different fields in your EndNote reference for different styles. So if you are switching, say, from Harvard to Vancouver, you'll need to put your cited date in a different field from what you would need for Harvard. So there are some small things that you might need to change if you are switching between styles. Now, if the style that you need is not in this shortlist, you can click on the Select Another Style option at the top, and this will show you a full list of all the styles that are automatically available in EndNote. So there's lots of standard styles, also styles for specific journals. If you need access to the custom styles that are available through Apps Anywhere, such as Harvard for Reading, so if you've installed EndNote on your computer, you won't see these. You can download them from our EndNote guide, which is available from the library homepage. Just follow the link from there and go to the Desktop EndNote page. And if you scroll down, you'll find links to be able to download those styles and instructions on how to use them. If you're using a name year style like Harvard, EndNote will automatically insert your in-text citation with brackets around the whole thing, which is fine if you want to put your reference at the end of a sentence. But if you want to incorporate the author names as part of your sentence, so for instance, if we wanted to say Wang et al. Argue that, etc., we don't want the whole thing in brackets. So to change that, instead of trying to do it manually, because EndNote is in control of this, you simply need to right-click on that in-text citation, scroll down and select Edit Citation, Display as Author bracket year. That then keeps the reference in our text and the full reference at the end, but it's now in the format that makes sense for the way we want to write. So EndNote references will be in the correct format for the style you have selected. So in terms of the order of the information, the format of that information, punctuation. But there are a couple of things you just need to watch out for because it depends on how that information has been entered into EndNote. And one of these is titles and the capitalization of titles. And if we look at these two references, we'll see the article titles have different capitalization. The top one is correct in terms of the Harvard style, but it depends on the style you're using, what capitalization you need. So for Harvard, everything is in lowercase apart from the first letter of the first word and any proper names within the title. If we look at the second reference, we can see that every single word, every significant word has a capital, and that would be wrong and makes our references inconsistent. So instead of trying to change it here, because EndNote is in control of this information, we need to pop back into EndNote itself, find the reference and change the details there. So if I go back into EndNote, I just need to find the matching reference. It's this one by Wang. And you may need to double click on it if you've not got the side panel open already. So we can see a preview of what that reference looks like in the style we've got selected here. To make changes, simply go to the Edit option. And the simplest way to change capitalization is to highlight the title and use the Change Case tool at the top here. We change it to sentence case. That changes every single word, so we do need to watch out for anything that should be in capitals, and as this stands for United States, it needs to be capitalized as US. The other thing to watch out for is journal names. Sometimes they might be downloaded in an abbreviated form, or they might have lowercase letters, and because they're names, they should have every significant word with a capital. So this is correctly capitalized for a journal name. Once you've made the changes, just click Save on the reference here. Come back to your Word document. And then instead of having to reinsert the reference, you can simply click on Update Citations and Bibliography. And you'll notice that my article title has now changed to match what's in the EndNote library, and so everything is consistent and correct. If you've taken a quote from one of your sources, you will need to include the page number in the in-text citation. To do that, simply right-click on that in-text citation and select Edit Citations at the bottom of the menu, and then click More. This will open a window in which you can insert your page numbers. So this was taken from page 750. So just pop that, or if it's a longer quote and it's a range of pages, put the range in. Click OK, and you'll then have it added into your in-text citation in the correct format for the style you are using. In the latest version of EndNote, if you have a PDF attached to one of your references, you've got the paperclip next to it here, you can then insert a quote from that document. Go to the reference in your library and go across to the PDF option here, and then use the icon on the right to open the PDF. Once you're viewing your PDF, you can select the text that you want to include as a quote. I'm just going to take the conclusions from this document, highlight the text, and click on the Insert Citation button over here on the right. This will put the quote in your text where your cursor was sitting. You may just need to make changes to the format. So for Harvard, we would have single quotes rather than double quotes around that quote. And then you'll notice it's added the in-text citation and the full reference at the end of our document. So it's very quick and easy to add quotes, but bear in mind that you should keep quotes to a minimum and you should paraphrase instead. As a final step before submission, you can create a version of your Word document which is divorced from EndNote. This will allow you to make small changes to the references if EndNote hasn't quite achieved what you need. It also means that if you're submitting through Turnitin, it can avoid problems with that submission. So to do this, the first step is to create a copy of your document. So go to File, Save a Copy, and obviously give it a new name. So I'm going to call this plain text so I understand the difference. So this copy still has all the active links with EndNote, but to divorce the document from EndNote, if we go to the EndNote toolbar and go to the Convert Citations and Bibliography option and convert to plain text. If you're using a Mac, this will be under the Tools option on your toolbar. So if we convert to plain text, it does prompt me to say create a copy before you do so. I've already done that, so I'm going to continue. Now that I've done that, you'll see that the in-text citation and the references are now all just plain text, so I can make any small edits that I wanted to those references. The other thing you might want to do is change some of the layout options or the font options. So you can do this now through the standard toolbar in Word. So if I wanted to add a bit of space between my references, I can go to the paragraph group and put a bit of space after each one, say 6 point, and that then spaces my references out nicely. We hope that you have found this series of 4 videos useful and to give you a head start with using EndNote. If you need more support, we have an online EndNote guide and the QR code is on the screen on the left here. You can also download those additional styles I mentioned earlier from that guide. Or you can contact your academic liaison librarian for further help and they'd be more than happy to help you get to grips with EndNote.